This video brought to you by Morphin Network is sponsored by Ranger Stock Convention, which is November 13th to the 15th, 2020 in Orlando, Florida. Go to rangerstoporlando.com for more info.
So, Chris, Mr. Graham, sir, how's quarantine life?
Well, it's been, honestly, it's actually been okay because it's been like a really long holiday without seeing anybody. And I have to say that the thing that we noticed most here was how quiet it got. Like you actually started hearing birds outside and go, hey, what, wait a minute, it sounds like a car. You know, like you just don't hear cars. It's bizarre. I mean, you know, I guess it's the same for you guys. You know, you have this din of traffic noise wherever you go. All of a sudden, we woke up one morning and it was gone. I was like, wait, what's going on? You know, so it was, so it's been great. I mean, we've got I don't know if you guys talk about bubbles. We talk about bubbles here. So who's in your bubble? And so I've got myself, my wife, and we've got four children. The two older boys have got girlfriends, so that's our bubble, and those are the people that we kind of relate to, I guess, if you like. We weren't allowed to be in contact with anybody else, and you know, of course, per household, you had one person who was allowed to go shopping, and so everybody else had to stay home. So it was kind of bizarre a little bit. I mean, you could still get out and walk. Obviously, you could go out and exercise and things like that. So you kind of just we started kind of developing a really different routine. So I still got up, did fitness stuff, got on my bike, rode around the block a couple of times, did that sort of thing. I actually even went fishing, which is kind of weird but cool. Yeah. Caught fish, actually. I actually caught fish.
We have the man special in his first live stream interview in the Power Ranger world. The Mystic Force Wolf Warrior himself, Leanbow, Chris Graham. What's up, man?
Hey, thanks everybody. Thanks for inviting me. This has been great. I mean, you've got a question coming up later on, and I can't wait to answer it. It's around the fact that, you know, did I ever think this place was gonna, the whole Power Rangers things was gonna blow up like this, and it's. No, I didn't. Had no idea. I kind of knew that there was some. I actually lived in Japan a number of years ago, and I'd heard about it. Of course, we hear about these things, but we don't really. It doesn't really get here. I mean, New Zealand's a long way away from the rest of the world, particularly 10 or 15 or 20 years ago. Obviously, now with the internet, we're a little bit closer, and travel and so on, but. 10 or 15, 20 years ago, man, we were like, we had to wait a couple of weeks before, the next episode of whatever it was going to be mailed to us. It was kind of like, dark ages. But
Chris,
sir,
tell us about yourself.
Where do I start? I'm humble backgrounds, pretty humble backgrounds. Just went to a local school. Did a whole lot of things, went through college and all that sort of stuff. Decided I became a teacher first of all, and it was a bet actually. A friend of mine made a bet with me. He said, "Oh, let's go to I don't know what it's like in the States, but at Teachers College here, just quietly, the ratio between men and women is like maybe 8 women to 1 man. That was a good ratio for a young man. So I leapt at the opportunity. Won $20 because I got in, and so I started life, working life as a teacher. Prior to that, I'd done a whole lot of other things. I went overseas. I taught for a little while. Went overseas. Like I said, I lived in Japan for a little bit. Lived in England. Lived in France. Did a little bit of traveling around in Europe, and then when I came back, I had this passion to. Like everybody, I love film, I love television, and I wanted to be part of that industry. So I went down to the local drama school, and actually I didn't want to get into drama. I wanted to make films. I wanted to be behind the camera, but I got talked into getting up on stage, and after about the first week, I was kind of hooked. So 3 years of that, and then my first gig was actually as a dancer.
Oh,
Surprisingly, I started as a contemporary dancer. So we trained in a number of different things. I wouldn't call myself a dancer though. I could move, but because I played a lot of sport and things. And then like as you do, you kind of grind your way through. You cobble a career together. And I was doing a whole lot of different things, working with young people at risk, and doing a bit of acting for stage, and then every now and again, we were fortunate in the early 90s that the Americans came down, and they bought Hercules and Xena, and that kind of just blew up in New Zealand. In terms of our film industry, it really gave us an opportunity to just develop our skills. I mean, and I'm a kid of the 60s, so I grew up with American television. All we did all day was practice our accents. So by the time the opportunity got to us, it was like, oh, we were ready. We're already sharp. I can do this and I can do that. Please don't get me to do it now and then. But so like I said, it was kind of like the halcyon days, and it gave us an opportunity for our industry to really get some experience, get some experience, and get some amazing creative people from the States, but also from Australia come down, and we kind of embraced it. And of course, I don't know how much your viewers know about New Zealand and the culture, but we kind of we're really good at improvising. And I don't mean improvising for screen. I mean everything. Like, we can do, mate, if you want me to do something, I can do it. You want me to chop a tree down? I can chop a tree down. You want me to, you want me to skin a rabbit? I can skin a rabbit. And if I don't know, just give me a minute. I'll ask somebody, they'll know. It's kind of like, so we took the bull by the horns, and I guess the rest is, I mean, I hate to use the phrase, but the rest is pretty much history. And we're still getting there. People like Peter Jackson is out there carving up, and Taika. Everyone knows Taika. And he's carving up. But it's a wonderful place to be a creative, because you've got people like that. And I mean, like this, and it's quite a small industry, so everyone knows everyone, and it's relatively, it's relatively collegial. People, I can make fun of them. I can make fun of people, and it's okay. No one's gonna go, that Chris Graham, he's not going to ever work again, because I heard what he said on that interview with with those Mystic Forces guys. Nah, that's it. But everybody will go, Chris Graham, that guy, man, you wait till I get into an interview. I'm going to smoke him, man. He's like, so it's a fun place to be in, albeit a little bit, probably, if I had to say it, it still is. It's not easy, it's not an easy industry to be in. It's like all industries at the moment. It's hard. You kind of it's like people talk about feasts and famines. It's usually a famine. never really a feast. It's a feast for a couple of people, but not everybody. So but I'm not moaning about it. Like, you hustle. You just got to get out there and do some work. And if you can't do it like in front of a camera, then you do it on a stage. So yeah. Right on.
Also, next time we meet you, will you provide something for us then?
Well, mate, honestly, I'm kind of nervous because this is my first time, but I'm ready. I'm always ready.
Awesome.
You guys know John Tui?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I try and rein myself in. John Tui doesn't do that.
Hey,
how did you get started with acting? Like, we'd like to know.
Like, more in depth in it, Fred.
Okay, so like I said, my very first gig when I got out of drama school was as a dancer in a contemporary dance company, and we went to a couple of international festivals. So I was quite lucky in that sense. And then I ended up down in Wellington, where Peter Jackson, or you might not, but Peter Jackson kind of resides in Wellington, and that's a vibrant theatrical scene. Most of the film and television at that time was happening in Auckland. So in Wellington, not so much was going on, but I stayed down there because I thought, theatre's year round. It goes on all the time, and I can always pick up bits and pieces. So I stayed down there for a year, but I had a small family at the time, so it was grueling. It was really hard, and the whole, there were times when we were struggling to put food on the table. I was, literally knocking on doors and saying, I've got a bucket, I've got a mop, I can wash your car. I can do it in half an hour. It'll cost you $5. And I did that for, we were down there for 6 months. But we're from Auckland originally. And we decided, well, we were a long way from home. We actually missed home. So we moved back to Auckland. Well, actually, we're from even further north in Auckland, up towards the Bay of Islands. And there, it was about the same time as Xena and Hercules kind of hit the shores of New Zealand, and as I was saying before, that was the time when opportunities kind of opened up, and at the time I was obviously younger, had longer hair, and it was Xena and Hercules. Everybody had long hair, so and I could do all the stuff that required of a person who was working in that particular genre. So I could ride a horse, I could swing a sword, I could wield a staff, I could do all of that sort of stuff, and I wasn't afraid to do any of it. And that's what they were looking for. So we were we were kind of like making up these stunt scenes with the stunties because everything was new, right? So even the stunties were kind of making stuff up. A lot of them were obviously they had martial arts backgrounds or dance backgrounds. But we were kind of making stuff up and going, what do you want to see? And what do you want to do? And have you seen the latest, John Woo movie? Or, where we were trying to, it was the years of DVD as well and videotape. So we were watching videotapes of old Kung Fu movies going, oh, wow, did you see that? I've got to practice my roundhouse, man. So, and while that was happening, I was also running with another cousin of mine. We were running an organisation that worked with young kids at risk, and what we were doing was we were collecting 20 or so young people. And I don't know how much you know about New Zealand culture, but here we have these places called marae, and marae are basically it's like a great big. It's like a great big warehouse, but it's not a warehouse. It's not cold at all. It's a house, and it's a beautiful house that people come together and they can stay. And what we were doing was we were staying together for about 10 days, and we were devising pieces of theatre, and then we were going back and touring it around. And so for us, that gave us a chance to continue to practice our craft, but also, kind of share it with young people who were, who had a story to tell and were interested in the arts. So that was it was an awesome time for us, or for me in particular, to really practice the craft and develop the skills, but also it actually gives you credibility, in the industry, because people are saying, oh, well, what have you been doing for the last 3 weeks? Oh, well, I've been out here working this and doing that and doing this, and they're going, okay, so show us some of that, and you get an opportunity to share that stuff, and then of course you get a couple of really good breaks, and then at that stage I kind of had to decide what I was going to do, where I was going to go, because there was an opportunity. I got this opportunity to do some auditions in Sydney in Australia and in the States, but I had a young family, and I was like, oh, what am I going to do? Like, the idea of being, I guess, famous or working in something really big and juicy was really attractive. But then I had a young family, and I was thinking, okay, so what am I going to do here? And actually, what I was doing was kind of what I continued to do. Actually, I really wanted to be a family person. I didn't want to race around the world and do this stuff, although it is attractive. So I decided to be really deliberate about what I did, and just choose the things that I want to do, things that I was attracted to. I mean, people might say, well, why did you choose Hercules and Xena? I mean, what's attractive about it? Well, the big thing about that was that you get to go and play with swords. What about it? And it's, hang out in cool costumes with your friends, actually, because the industry is full of friends. And, it didn't feel like work. It was 12 hours of just mucking around and having fun. It's just, and you got fed. What can I say? Like really beautiful catered food, really great people, great atmosphere, beautiful locations, and every now and again somebody really cool would pop in, and you don't know how cool they're going to be until 10 years later, and then they become, now what was his name? I'm gonna fudge it now because, oh my gosh, who was young Hercules? Do you guys know young Hercules?
Ryan Gosling.
Ryan Gosling. There you go.
It should actually roll off my tongue, right? But Ryan Gosling was a scrawny little rat. We just all right, but get on to it, Ryan. What are you doing, mate? Cut it out. So he was, he came out here and cut his teeth out here. And he was great, man. He was like this humble little guy, and so I appreciate where he's gone, because I think, well, you came out here, you did the yards, you hung out, you didn't pretend you were anything more than who you were, and that's the sort of industry that I want to work in. I kind of appreciate that sort of collegiality, and not just him, but all of the people that often we see out here. We get a sense that. I don't know. There's some we connect, and there's some chemistry, and chemistry's the thing, man. It's if you can't sell chemistry, nah, it's so hard. I guess that's the reason why I really enjoyed working on on Mystic Forces, was because the chemistry and the cast was great. It felt really genuine. And albeit the fact that I came in a little bit late, it was kind of like a little bit of an afterthought and stuff. But that's okay. I kind of came in. I became an enigma and cruised out. That's all right. It's not a bad place.
Yeah, and then the Red Ranger spotted too. Oh, before we continue, we did find a picture of you back then in Xena. So.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Long hair, yeah. You did have long hair.
Yeah, I did. There's I don't think there's anything else, because I'm gonna jump the gun. I'm gonna jump around on your page, guys, because I know that I've kind of done my homework. We're actors, we do our homework. One of your questions came up and says what are the highlights, and one of the biggest highlights, and it wasn't a huge commercial success, but for me it was such a good time, was we did in one of the auditions I did in Sydney, we did Robert Hormy, who was head of Hallmark at the time. He wanted to do Moby Dick, and Patrick Stewart was in it. And it was so funny because like mate, honestly, when I told you guys I lived up in north of Auckland. Okay, so where I lived was like, I don't know, like Alaska, but not so cold. But there was no power, there were no phones, there was no running water, and bearing in mind we had two little kids, right? You had to park your car, you had to walk about a K you guys have miles, maybe a mile, up a hill and down a hill and across creeks and stuff like that through the bush to get to where we lived. And up there I had a a field phone. I don't know if you remember what field phones look like.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Oh, I had one. Yeah.
we had one of the. I had one of those. It looked weird. Like, I'd walk into town with this like a little handbag with a field phone because it's the only phone I had. Anyway, my agent rings me up. We're up in the hills. You've got an interview in what do you got? An audition in Sydney. So I went. I had to walk out, drive down, and of course I didn't have the trappings of city life. I had this kind of big bush shirt, a pair of shorts, and a pair of boots. And I went to Sydney like this, and that was fine. I got the got the gig, came back, and then I was about to leave to fly to Melbourne to start rehearsals, and I get down there, and again I still had no trappings. I was like bush shirt, shorts, boots, and I was at the airport in Auckland, and I was standing there with some friends, and I looked over and I went, I'm sure that's Patrick Stewart. And then it's like, I'm going to go and say hello. And so I did. I walked up to him, and he was trying to be really kind of, obscure, trying to dodge bullets and stuff. And nobody knew who this guy was. But I was going, yeah, man, that's Patrick Stewart. So I walked up to him and I said, excuse me, you're Patrick Stewart, aren't you? And he got a shock. He goes, yes, I am, son. And I said, nice to meet you. I'm Chris Graham. I'll see you at work on Monday. And I reached out my hand, and he goes, nice to meet you, Chris. I'm going to be in Fiji, but I'll see you on Friday. And I went, excellent. I'll tell the boys. And he goes, okay, see you there. And that was my first meeting with Patrick Stewart. It's so funny. And then it was when we got back to when he got back to Melbourne, we had a big dinner. We had a cast dinner, our first cast dinner. And that was the story he told. It was I felt really kind of chuffed, and our relationship really built. I mean, it wasn't like we were best mates, but I felt really connected to him. And then of course, everybody knew who Patrick Stewart was. He was this guy, blah blah blah. And on the first day of set, he comes on set, and nobody knew what he was going to do, right? And we all thought, okay, get ready. Patrick Stewart's coming on set. Okay, cool. All right, cool. Do I look okay? Yeah, no, you look good. Yeah. Henry Thomas. Henry Thomas from E.T.?
Yes, I love E.T.
Yeah. Henry Thomas was there. Henry Thomas is so funny, man. Honestly, he's. If you ever get a chance to talk to, I don't know. I don't want to throw him under the bus, but he does amazing. He does this amazing rip-off of James Brown. Anyway, Patrick Stewart walks on set, and he's like, and he's got the peg leg because he's playing Captain Ahab. And he walks on set, and he looks around, and everybody's like, this is hushed silence. No cameras are rolling. Hushed silence. There's about maybe 60 or 70 people on set. And he just goes in this big voice, he goes, what do you do when you see a whale, boys? And like, it's a line from the show. And everybody was just like, whoa. And I had this, like, me and this other guy, Uppy Taylor, we were like rough sailors. And like, I recognized the line, and I went, you sing out fire, Captain! Like this, and spitting everywhere, and, really being kind of hardcore. And he goes, what's your name, son? And then we just started playing the scene. And everybody was like, what's going on here? Nobody told us we were rehearsing. And it was like, and then Frank Rodham, the director, came in and said, okay, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Patrick Stewart. And I was like, woo! All the boys were like, bro, how did you know that? And I went, man, I did the work. I read the script. Didn't you read the script? It's like, but it was funny. It was. And like I said, that was probably one of the highlights, and it was just meeting some really incredibly gracious people. My family came over and they stayed with us for a little while. Patrick had his birthday party, and halfway through his birthday party, he was like, "Where's Patrick Stewart gone?" And nobody knows. And I was thinking, wait a minute, where are my kids? Because my kids were little. Like 7 or 8 or something, 6 was, and then they came back, and I said, "Where have you guys been?" And I went, "Oh, we were downstairs unwrapping Patrick's presents." He had a whole lot of presents downstairs, and he took us downstairs, and we were unwrapping them. I was like, "What the hell?" And that's the thing. You kind of meet these people, and you see these people, and you think, you kind of don't know. They're elevated. They're kind of elevated to almost superhuman status. But every now and again, when you get to see them in I guess in real life, they actually are. They're just real people, and they're grateful for the gifts that they've had and the opportunities. So yeah, man, that was such a good time. And Henry Thomas, we were staying in the same apartment block, and so we'd go hang out, go down to Blue Train Cafe, go to the casino. Henry likes a little bit of poker, It was cool. Yeah. And he's a great singer, great guitar player. Yeah,
Definitely. Plus I love all of their work too, especially Star Trek. Even though I'm a Star Wars fan, but anyway.
I agree.
Now going to Power Rangers, what was the decision like? What was the decision process like for Power Rangers?
Well, it was, it's one of those things. Auditions are really unusual things because sometimes, particularly in New Zealand, you don't necessarily know what you're getting yourself into. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I didn't know what Power Rangers was. I just thought I kind of knew what it was, but I was like, I don't really. I have to tell you, one of my biggest mistakes was I got an audition for The Matrix.
Oh,
and I looked at, yeah, man. I got to look at, yep. Wait, there's more. I got to look at the Matrix script. I was like, this is rubbish. Who wrote this? Who knew, right? So I kind of went, I went into the audition and just went, blah, 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 blah. Did my thing. And then, of course, the Matrix came out. And I just went, what? Like, oh, man. The limousine pulled up at my house and I didn't get in. It was like, oh my God. So that was a really big learning curve for me. So after that, I went into every audition like, oh, this is the Matrix. This is the Matrix. So with, with the audition for Power Rangers, it was like, even though I was kind of skeptical and I didn't know much about it, I was like, nah, I'm going to make sure that I kind of, I do due diligence and, so it was one of those things that I guess auditions in general for I guess the pool of actors in New Zealand at that time, you just get in there and you nail the audition and don't hold on to it because you just have to get used to going, no, I'll call don't call me, I'll call you. So and when you get the call, there's a silent fist pump, but you don't want to get too wrapped up in that stuff because it's like, as soon as you do an audition, you're kind of hanging on, looking at the phone. Hang on, I'm just going to check my messages. No messages. No one's rung. Is anybody rung? No. It's one of those things. So, I can't. You know what? To this day, I can't remember who was the casting director. I suppose I could look it up, but I can't remember who the cast. And again, we know all the casting directors as well. It's like
Was it a female?
Oh, okay. It might have been. It probably was.
It might have been Iris Hampton. She's the current casting director of Power Rangers, and she's been doing it since in the early days too.
Oh,
maybe.
Iris doesn't ring a bell, but I could have a look up for you. I can't remember who it is, but now that you mention it, there are a couple of. Christina Asher's one. Oh gosh, no, I can't remember off the top of my head. But Iris doesn't ring a bell. But I could be wrong. Yeah.
I'm actually searching Wikipedia right now.
Yeah, I am. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to do it now. It's one of those things. We're all doing it. Now you guys do it.
I'm actually doing it right now. Mystic Force. Let's see. So guys, yes, we are actually checking Wikipedia for facts. Deanna Rowan?
Ah, yes, it was too. Yeah, Diana Rowan, yeah. Yeah, she's got her own casting agency actors agency as well. Yeah. Yeah, so, yeah, Diana. And then Diana will get a whole lot of other people, reading for her and stuff like that.
Speaking of that, Clement does have the following question for this.
Oh yeah, yes. So my next following question is like, what was the experience filming Power Rangers? What was the experience like?
It was, obviously it was like there was a 10-year shift from Hercules and Xena onto Power Rangers. So the technology had shifted a whole lot. There was there was some green screen and stuff like that. But I think I can't remember. I mentioned him in the last interview. The second, because like usually what they do is they have the what do you call it? The main unit cast. The main unit scenes are shot using generally one of the Americans, or sometimes an Australian or a New Zealand director. But the second unit director is it Yuji? I can't remember. Yeah.
You see, like the I think it's a stunt guy.
Yeah.
I forgot his name. I know it's a stunt guy.
I can't remember his name. Yeah, but he is the stunt guy. Oh my lord, he's genius. Like he knows how to set stuff up. He tells you what he wants, and if you deliver, you move on. There's no second or third or fourth takes, and he's just a genius. And like I've got some, like I said, it's one of those things where the crew are usually family friends, and one of the Alex guys, a guy called Phil Tortador, he's a really close family friend. He just said, mate, this guy's all you need to do is and do as you're told, and he'll nail it. He'll nail it, and not because like he's aggressive or mean or nasty. He's just said this guy knows what he wants, and he knows how to get it really quickly. So just follow his instruction, and we'll make good TV. And that was really refreshing, because that was probably one of the most important things that I learned through drama school and acting, is that like just follow the instructions, do as you're told, don't try and make stuff up, don't try and be cool, because the guy behind the camera, the guy who's directing it all, he'll make you look cool. Just trust him or her. And there were a whole lot of things that we got to do that I'd never got to do before, like blow stuff up. That was awesome. I love blowing stuff up. Yeah, like big explosions, flying in the air, wires, all that sort of stuff. And I'd worked with wires before, but in theatre and stage, and so we were doing stuff, on stage. We were getting flown out of off the stage and things like that, but never in television. And it's like I love that stuff. It's just like I'm 12 all over again. And I get to play and then I go, didn't feel that good. Should we do it again? Yeah, okay, let's do it again. So and that's the thing. You just, it's just so much fun. But then on the other side of the coin, you also get these really really beautiful intimate moments with people that in the industry, but you never get to work with. Like as I think I was saying to you before, most of my roles have been for the bad guy. I've always been a bad guy. Long hair, give me a piece of Xena, I'll cut her up for you if you want. All that sort of stuff. I'll take the hits from Hercules, but in this particular series, I got to be in love with Udonna. Like her and I had a child together, and it was really, it's kind of refreshing. It's like everybody wants to be like. There's always somebody you always want to be as an actor. Like if you're I don't know, if you're really chiseled and good looking and you're brawn and all that sort of stuff, everybody wants to be a bad guy. Oh man, I'm sick of being the love interest all the time. I hate that. But for me, I'm always being the bad guy. I want to be the love interest. How come no one loves me? So I got to hang out with Udonna, and we got on really well. I've known her. I knew her before. Knew her and her partner before, and so we had some really great moments. Not only on set but off set as well. I mean, and that's the thing, because it's television. Sometimes it's 90% waiting, 10% acting. So you kind of have to wait ready all the time, and it gets quite tense. So if you can hang out with people who you get along with, you can talk to about just anything, then that makes things so much more fun. The what do you call it? The green screen stuff, the location stuff. It's always really, it always really amazes me that we've got such capacity in a small city like. Well, I mean, I know Auckland's quite spread out, but in this city we've got capacity to do all sorts of stuff. Make our locations look like deserts, and we've got cityscapes, and we've got wild ocean and all that sort of stuff. So we're kind of lucky, and I guess living here, sometimes you get to see little things that you go, well, I didn't even know that was here. Oh my gosh, I've never been to this place, and it's like 30 minutes down the road. So I love these experiences. They're just they're amazing.
Definitely. So Chris, someone wants to say hi. Dave Plobby from Legendary just says, "Hey Chris, long time no see."
Hey Dave, how are you?
And he comments, "Just so good looking like me." Oh my god.
I love this guy.
Don't worry. Shout out to Dave Plobby, Legendary Virtual Con 2 coming out the next week. 2 weeks from now. So Chris, and the next question actually does again relate to your season. Now, do you have any fun behind the scenes stories that you can tell us with your cast members? Like any fun pranks, anything you want to love to share? There are a couple of people in there that they don't really get much of a mention, but there's a guy in there called Barney Duncan. Now Barney and I go back. You know Barney? Yeah, I know.
Right. Barney Duncan and I, we've done a few things. It's actually since Power Rangers, we actually were in a theatre production together called The Arrival, and Barney on set is really unpredictable, and so often what would happen is that him and Ferris and John, and I kind of I stepped back away from those guys because, man, I mean, you know what these guys are like. They can be trouble, and they do all sorts of stuff. Like if you're you'll be in the middle of a scene and stuff like this, and I'm looking, so the camera's there, and Udonna's just next to camera, so she's giving me an eye line, and I'll be having this really intense, beautiful moment with Udonna, and then Barney will be in the background doing some creepy stuff, like trying to make me laugh and stuff like that. It's like, and then the actor, the director will call cut. I just go, bro, don't do that. Get out. Oh, what's that, Chris? No, nothing. No, I'm good. And Barney's just having his coffee in the background, going. And him and John would do stuff like that all the time, and Ferris. And it was so, it's that thing where you just go, oh my God, I don't want to go down this track because I know what's going to happen. Every scene they're going to be dogging me from behind the camera, and I'm like, oh my God. So, and as much as it was fearful, it was really, it kind of adds to the flavor of the set. So, I don't have any really, really big ones that I can actually admit to, because there are things that have to go unsaid. But generally, we were really we were really close, and we tried not to do stuff that was going to be too outrageous. But people like Mark Beasley and stuff like that he was one of the directors. He's been he's always a bit of a trick. He's more than a one-trick pony. Andrew Merrifield is the same. Andrew's a little bit more kind of level-headed. Mark Beasley's, he's been around for a while now. He's a bit crazy. He's fun though. Yeah.
Oh, people asking who is Barney. Barney is the guy who played Toby, guys. So Toby from
yeah.
Of course.
Did you ever thought that this franchise would grow this big? Like when you part of the Power Rangers?
Well, and here's the thing. Like, I'm still living in my own bubble at the moment. Like, I'm still trying to capture how big this thing is. Honestly, I had no idea. I just thought, okay, this is for like, for 7 to 10-year-olds, probably in in Southeast Asia, maybe a little bit of America, but and it's really hard for me to capture what the audience would look like, and then over the years, I don't think the audience has grown. I think the audience has always been there, but they've kind of come into focus a little bit more, and I think it's a huge surprise to me, really, and I'm kind of a little bit humbled by it, because it's actually one of those things where you could go, I'm just going to do this thing, and I'm not going to put much effort into it. It's fine. It's just for kids. Don't worry about it. And actually, because one of the questions I was asked earlier was that, if there's anything I could tell my younger self in terms of my performance, or how I worked in Power Rangers, what would I tell myself? And I thought that was it was like a trick. It felt like a trick question. I was like, wow. Trick question in the sense that I couldn't actually, I thought to myself, you know what? Like, I take the craft really seriously, and at the time I did the best that I could at the time. And there's nothing I could have told myself that could have made that performance better, because in my mind, I just gave it everything I had. I kind of had a look at the people who I was working with. I'm going, okay, this is the standard. These guys are this is where they are. And people might be critical about their work, but I have to say that, I have to say that I believed everybody was giving their best stuff at that time. And I think that's what you have to do. You can't you can't just, you just have to take it seriously. I know it's Power Rangers, and people go, like friends of mine go, Power Rangers, but actually, this is the landscape of television, and it's broad, and it's rich, and it's vibrant, and it needs this color, it needs this, it needs that, it needs this. I mean, we can't all be watching Game of Thrones, or Melrose Place. Like, there's got to be something for everybody. And actually, if we're going to raise the standard of performance, then you have to put in the work, and you have to put it in everywhere. So, absolutely, I never thought that it would get to this, but I have to say I'm really proud of the work that we did, and I'm certainly here to stand by it, because I go back and have a look at some of the stuff that we did before, and I think, I can still, some people look back at their work and go, oh my God, I can't watch that. I can't. Oh my God, I could have done that better. But I look at it and I go, no, that's okay. That was great. That we were doing what we were told, and we made it work. And I can be proud of that. So, I didn't see it coming, and I'm humbled by the fact that people appreciate the work that went into it. Yeah.
And just, I mean, again, like, we never left you, man. Like, as Power Ranger fans, like, we still kept our like loyalty to you guys. If you actually I don't know, since you've never been to a con before, like, once you go to your first Power Ranger con, you'll see how much people actually loved your show.
Wow.
And I will try to be there too, your first con, hopefully. Hey guys, hopefully Orphicon, Scott, if you're watching this, wink wink, he's interested.
Look, honestly, it's been like I said, it's kind of a humble, it's a humbling experience to kind of like have these conversations with you guys. But like I said, it's that thing where you go, sometimes artists will create something and come back afterwards and go, yeah, I could have done that better. And of course, every time I could have gone back and done the stuff that I've done, I could have done it better. But actually, at the time, I did the best that I could. So I could only have done it better if you've given me more time, and I didn't have more time. So that's where it needs to stand. And so, the experience has just made my life richer. And I mean, it sounds really corny and soppy, but actually, it did. I think I might have mentioned to you in one of the other interviews that, you never. People always say, I don't want my children to follow in my footsteps, and it always kind of, it was always in the back of my head. But interestingly enough, my oldest son, he was working with another friend of mine who was catering on Power Rangers when I was working on it. He's still catering. This friend of mine, Sidu, makes beautiful food, and my son he was between jobs, and he says, oh, what can I do? Can I get a job anywhere? And I said, I'll ring up Sidu. Sidu will give you work. And of course, Sidu just gave him some work, and he went out on set. And one of the costume women was walking past and goes, oh, his name's Danu. He goes, Danu, can you stand up? And he stood up and he goes, I think you could fit one of the suits. Do you want to come into the trailer? I just want to try one of the suits on you. He ended up trying on one of the suits, and within 3 weeks, he was. I don't actually know the episode or the series, but he was one of. Oh gosh, they're quite recent ones. Probably the last season that you guys are in at the moment. He was one. I don't want to muck it up. There's something bots. He was a bot of some sort. I don't know what he was, but yeah. So there you go. I mean, he's actually, like I said, you kind of don't wish your children would follow you because you think, oh my God, it was such a arduous journey. You don't want that for your children, but he's in there. He's carving up. He's doing some acting. He's got some auditions, and we're auditioning together, which is kind of cool. So yeah, there you go.
But yeah, guys, definitely. So we do have 3 more questions for you, Chris. So my next question is, you did mention before all your projects and stuff. Like, can you, besides Power Rangers, what is the most memorable film or television stint you ever did? Like, you had to choose one. Which one would it be?
Wow, that's a tricky one. Okay, I'd love to say Power Rangers. I'd love to say Moby Dick. But actually, there was this little short, like a drama series in New Zealand. It was called Fish Skin Suit, and it was kind of like it's a tiny little local story about a little village, a little fishing village, where they had this like a sea monster. There was a sea monster that kind of swam around this village, and the sea monster fell in love with one of the people on the shore, and that person ended up swimming out and marrying. It's kind of like a mythical tale, and he ended up marrying this, like a mermaid, if you like, and they got together. And every now and again in this fishing village, the man would return to the community if there was unrest and things like this. And anyway, come forward into the 20th century, this little fishing village, these 2 little kids were playing down by the beach, and out of the water comes this man, and he's dressed in a orange, like goldfish, sequined suit. He's Indian, and he's an Elvis impersonator. And it's really quirky. It's so quirky, but it's a really touching little story about, it's just this touching little story about relationships, I guess. But it's so hilarious because it's this Indian guy with an Elvis. He looks like Elvis. He's even got, hey little lady, can you tell me where I can get a peanut butter sandwich? It's like really super cheesy. But like I said, I really enjoyed it because to me it was really intimate, and it kind of captures the ideals that I've been talking about in terms of our film industry. How just a small group of people can get together and make something so beautiful, and just enjoy themselves in the creation of it. While those other things are fantastic, I have to say, like, honestly, turning up to Melbourne for Moby Dick at the airport, some guy who's got the sign saying Chris Graham, I go out and he's got a white Rolls Royce. What the hell? Like, I'm Chris Graham. Is there another Chris Graham? Is there another Chris Graham here? No, it's me. Okay, yeah. Can I take your bag? And honestly, I had a sack. I don't know if you know what a sack is. Sugar bag. I had a sugar bag with my clothes because I just come out of the bush. And he goes, "Oh, can I take your bag, sir?" I went, "Okay, sure." Yeah. Nice hat, by the way. And he was the whole 9 yards. Had the little bag and the little hat. And we go back to the apartment. It was like I felt like a rock star. And those moments, they stay with you for they stay with you forever, and of course, the moment you run in and you shake hands with someone like Patrick Stewart. Gregory Peck, I don't know if you guys know Gregory Peck. Gregory Peck is an old school actor, like old school, and he was he was one of the actors on Moby Dick, and then on the other side of the coin, you work with someone like Yuji on Power Rangers.
Oh,
and,
I found his name. It's actually Koichi Sakamoto.
Koichi. Oh, that's right. Because I don't know if you've heard of a guy called Koichi Sakamoto. Anyway. Don't get me started on Sakamoto's. There's a guy who writes music scores called Sakamoto. Koichi is like Jackie Chan. He's like the Jackie Chan of, and like honestly, Jackie Chan is unbelievable. Like as a director, he's got stuff. He's just like he reminds me of a New Zealander actually. he just go, why don't we do this and do this? Like I remember in I can't remember the film, but I remember it was the same time as we were doing Moby Dick. But we went up to Brisbane, and he was shooting a film up in Brisbane, and he was shooting this scene in Chinatown, and he had 2 units. So I'm assuming everyone knows what a unit is. A unit is like a complete crew on with one set of actors, and a complete crew of another set of actors. So Jackie Chan goes, let's shoot both of these at the same time, and bring them together, and then shoot the scene together. And like everybody's like, no one's ever done that before. Yeah, let's do it. He's that guy. And you just have, when you have opportunities to work with people with vision like that, it's like it's just like, oh man, we're making history here. This is history. It's history making stuff. And being in those situations, you kind of feel like, I don't know. There's this conversation that people talk about genius, and I don't know if you know about the conversation about genius. People think that like we've kind of misinterpreted the word genius. We say, oh, this guy's genius or that guy's genius. Genius happens, from my perspective, genius happens if you keep doing the work. If you keep doing the work, genius will arrive, and then it leaves you. But you got to keep doing the work because it might come again. Genius doesn't reside with somebody. It's something that you have to capture, and you can only capture it if you do the work. So, and that's why I love doing the work, because every now and again I get an opportunity to experience genius. Hang out in rooms with people like Koichi, or I don't know, like Ferris. There are times when Ferris is a genius, man. Like I don't know if you guys have seen that Instagram when he's doing the Eddie Murphy thing.
Oh yeah, I did. I saw that. I followed it. I saw that.
That guy is crackers. He is crackers. But it's about the craft. You got to keep practicing the craft, and every now and again, genius will visit you. And if you're lucky enough, somebody's got a camera and they're calling action.
Your character Leanbow from Mystic Force, like, what would you think the character would be doing in a current Power Rangers canon?
Yeah, what are you doing in the current timeline right now?
Yeah, and that was a tricky question, man. That took me ages to figure it out. But I do have an answer.
All right, let's go.
You know, the thing is, and I'm going to get all esoteric on it. You know, the thing is, mystic forces. It's all about magic. And the thing about technology is, technology requires a sense of logic. Magic doesn't require logic. Magic's just magic. It can happen anytime, anywhere. And so, in that sense, because Leanbow's, he's kind of an enigmatic guy, he can just arrive and he can leave at any time. It doesn't matter whether it's, you know, the 26th century or the the 5th century BC. He can be wherever he wants because it's magical, and he's got those skills. So, you know, I mean, I thought, you know, if I was a writer, how could I write him in? I mean, I'm magic. I can do what I want. You know, like I can transcend time. I can transcend space. I don't need, technology. But when I'm there, technology is my friend because I know all technology. I know all. I see all. I'm like this omnipotent, omnipresent guy. So, you know, I can be everywhere and nowhere all at the same time. So...
Wow.
So what's funny is
that's my story. That's my story.
So what's funny is like we asked John that question last week. He's like, so what's your character be doing? He's like, well, I don't know, maybe crashing Leanbow's place and being an uncle to Nick. So yeah, I'll be living in there. Like, what the heck?
Oh my god, that sounds like that sounds like John. It sounds like John. John will be outside mowing my lawns. That's what John will be doing.
Oh.
Don't tell him.
Anyway,
Nah.
Wow.
no, it's not. So anyway, so Chris, what is your advice for any aspiring actor or actress that wants to be in the film or TV industry?
Yeah, that's a great question. And you know, I'm sure everyone's got their take on it. I thought about it. You know, I am really glad that I got a chance to look at these questions because it made me think about my own practice. I guess the first thing is to remember that it's a job. You know, it's not a lifestyle; it's a job. It's a job, and your job is to suspend disbelief. You know, to take people on a journey. That's your job, and so practice it. Practice it as much as you can. Observe people's interactions. Observe relationships, nuances. Watch to see the changes in the way people behave, because you know, as human beings we evolve. So you know, so that's the first thing. Just remember that it's a job, and if you remember that, you'll also you'll build up some resilience around the fact that there's some days it's a feast and some days it's a famine. You know, like I know that we kind of live in this time now where there's a lot of discussion around mental health and depression and anxiety and all those sorts of things, and you know, it's for me, it's about making sure that you keep it real, stay connected to people, stay open to change, stay open to learning. Like I'm always learning, and you know, we talk about lifelong learning and those sorts of things, and it's true. Like a lot of people, they find it really difficult to change and embrace change, and I can understand it. You know, like some people they've been writing checks for 50 or 60 years. Now all of a sudden you can do internet banking, and that must be a real challenge for some people. So imagine what it's like for them, and understand also that for some people it is hard to change. So the first thing is that. I mean, the second thing is, and I might have mentioned it before, listen. Really super important. Just listen. Follow instructions. Don't try and overthink things. There's this thing called the aporia in acting, where as an actor you can see everything, but you can't see yourself. You can't see yourself because when you're actually participating when you're performing, you can't see what's happening with yourself. It's kind of an impossibility. Of course, you can go back and watch your takes, absolutely. But when you're in the moment, it's really, really difficult. And so you need to be able to trust your crew, trust your cameraman, trust your director, trust your sound tech. Trust those people, because they want you to look as good as you can be, as you're potentially, they want you to reach your potential. yeah, I guess those are the two most important things. Remember, it's a job. Practice your craft every day, and listen and follow instructions. You know, one of the funniest things that I ever heard was one of our drama school teachers. She said to us, "Chris, I'll just tell you this once. Get on stage, say the wordies, and get off." And that's it. You know, like sometimes you just got to give it to the writers. The writers know what they've written. Just say the words. You don't have to act them. Just say the words and let the audience engage and translate and imbibe what it is you're trying to perform. Just give them an opportunity. Don't ram it down their throats. You know, you don't have to overact stuff.
Definitely, really great advice. So, guys, all the advice you go get into acting.
Any upcoming projects you want to tell to the fans or Morphin Networks?
I'd love to say I've been auditioning for Avatar because I know that those guys are hard at work down in Wellington, but no, there isn't anything. Well, there are a couple of projects, but again, we're still auditioning at the moment. There's a couple of local films, local feature films that we're doing, just in terms of my own acting practice. My wife and I. My wife's she's an artist. She's a painter and a sculptor. She actually went to school in San Francisco, and I wish I could remember the name of the art school, but I can't remember. She used to. Hang on, who did she work for? She worked for DreamWorks for a little bit. She did some research for them. Anyway, her and I we're collaborating on a little piece of theatre, which is great because it keeps the tools sharp. And you got to keep the tools sharp because you never know, you might get a Matrix audition anytime soon.
That sounds awesome.
You heard it here, guys. Chris almost got into Matrix and met Keanu Reeves.
I tell you what, that guy, he is, he just can't do anything wrong for us. Ben, one of the guys that got into the show, and into the Matrix, he just said, he's that guy. Like I mean, all the stories that have come out recently, they're just they're kind of testament. Like he was there when Keanu rocked up and gave all these keys of a whole lot of Harley Davidsons to all the stunt people on the Matrix. You know about that story, eh? He bought all the stuntmen Harley Davidsons.
Oh shoot!
Yeah. Crazy, right?
Damn, that's respect right there. That's respect.
Yeah,
right
absolutely.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, the story. We heard the story when it happened, but the story didn't really get popularized until kind of just recently. I think, I don't know, but yeah, we always just thought, oh man, I just want to be in a movie with Keanu Reeves. He might buy me a bike.
Can you imagine Chris in black sunglasses and a black overcoat and just had that serious stare like?
Oh man, I've got one. I just heard recently that Sean Connery was cast in that initially in Morpheus as Morpheus.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I can kind of see it, but. Yeah, I don't know. I really liked what Lawrence did. Actually, that's another one. Lawrence Fishburne's back in the days, his wife was on set on Xena, I think, and it was not long after Boys in the Hood, and I can remember having a coffee at the unit table, and I was thinking, he looks familiar. Who's that guy? And anyway, I just went, "Hey, bro, I'm making a coffee. Do you want one?" And he says, "Yeah, sure." And I went, "Hey man, I'm Chris." He goes, "Nice to meet you. I'm Fish." Oh my God, Lawrence Fishburne right there. I'm Fish. Of course you are. You're the man, all right? Yeah, man.
Hey, and Chris, if it's possible, maybe if you keep auditioning, maybe we can see you in John Wick 4.
Oh, cut it out. Is there really going to be a 4?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it's the first, second, and third is been so successful, and Lawrence Fishburne and Keanu Reeves are coming back for another. And hey, if you audition, it's your very own Matrix, but in the John Wick universe.
Yeah.
Imagine
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, mate. Honestly, don't do that to me. It's just gonna. I won't be able to sleep tonight now.
Anyway, guys, so this ends the the question part of our stream. So we go to the fans' questions and comments. Chris, are you ready? Say hi.
I am ready, sir. Yeah.
So Mikey Nerd Talk says yes. If you have him.
Yeah.
Request from Edward Sanchez. Can you do your morph call?
Oh my gosh. Magical source, mystic force. Is that the one?
Yep.
Man, that took me a long time. I had to really think about it. Actually, I have to say, we did it the other day. I can't remember what it was. I think they're doing some sort of mashup, and they tried to pull some sound from some of the old episodes, and it wasn't so good. So I had to go and re-record it.
Oh,
yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure why, but yeah, there you go.
I think I know why, but I can't say here. Here's a great question. Ken Brown saying, what was Peter like?
She was kind of like she didn't have to act much, actually. That's what she was like. She was like Udonna. She was gracious, she was kind, really amazing listener. Like I said, we'd go and hang out and we had our own camper van. I think what you guys call them Winnebagos, but we got campers, and we talk about, and it was really interesting. I'm going to dive deep here. I was just coming out of a really long-term relationship, and so I was kind of feeling pretty low, and it's always the way. You always come across a person, you don't know who they are, but they become the rocks in your life just at that time when you really need a rock, and that was Peter. She was like a rock, and it was a terrible experience for me because at the time when she passed away, I wasn't in the country, so I wasn't able to come back and be with Carl and her family. So it was a huge loss to the industry. She'd been around for a long time. There are a couple of real stalwarts in our industry in terms of acting. Sam Neill, because he's been around for a little while. People like Michael Hurst, who played Aeolus in Hercules, of course. Lucy Lawless. Lucy Lawless was a little bit younger, but Peter was one of those people, and she was kind of rock solid. Yeah, it's a great loss.
Definitely. So Peter may rest in peace. Hi, Chris Graham. I talked to you last on Legendary Virtual Con, meet and greet from Miami, Florida. Aw.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. Hey, Tim.
Tyler Ripley says, hi, Chris. What was your favorite moments working on Mystic Force?
I love the big stuff. I love the stuff when we get blown up. And there was a moment when John and I were doing some sword. I think we were doing some sword demonstration stuff, and on that particular day, we were doing a whole lot of outside stuff in a forest, and I had to do this stuff where I was running away from a fire and there's a massive explosion. And I get to do that big, huge dive. I have to step back. I'm doing this big dive. Love those scenes.
Explosions.
Yeah. So that'd be one of my most favorite moments. Oh, actually, and we got to ride off into the sunset.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I love it.
Yeah.
My cousin's saying, Mr. Graham, sir, thank you for being part of this interview. We at Ranger Nation loves you. Aw.
Thank you. Thanks, Seth.
Oh, and Timmy says John's birthday was yesterday. So.
Was it?
Yeah.
I didn't see that. I didn't see it come up.
Ooh.
Okay, I'll hit him up.
Jen says hello.
Hi, Jen.
One of our own members, Lermer, says hello, Chris Graham. Love your portrayal of Leanbow. I remember watching you in Moby Dick series when I was in 3rd grade. Oh my god.
Oh.
That was I was like around, not to feel old, but maybe I was around like 7 years old at that time.
That's all right. I aged well. I have to tell you though that one of my favorite things on Moby Dick was I got to do one of I had to do I didn't get to do my own stunt because my own stunt was to fall maybe 100 odd feet
Mhm.
and with a what do they call? I can't remember the name of the wires. I can't remember, but essentially it's a wire that drops down from above, and as you're falling, there's somebody at the bottom who breaks, who puts a brake on the line, and you end up going zzz, just before you hit the deck. But in my version of the stunt, I had to go up a mast that they set out in the field and fall into an airbag, and I'm afraid of heights, but it's that thing that when you get asked to do something, this is what's going to pay the rent. You get up there and do it. So these guys said, Chris, we need you to climb up this pole and fall off, and not just fall off backwards. It's like, so you stand somewhere and you fall backwards, and I was falling maybe 60 feet. So into an airbag, and I was like, oh my god, this is my biggest fear. It's a weird thing. I am afraid of heights, but I love jumping off stuff.
Definitely.
I don't know, weird, but yeah.
Improvise.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was, and not only just fall because the camera's in front of you, you've got to give them some action as well. So you got to go, ah! And I was thinking, you don't know what I was thinking.
Definitely. Kevin Yoshifumi Matsumura says, Hercules and Xena, I own those also on DVD, the OG Anchor Bay. Oh, so they did release those in DVD.
Yes,
didn't they?
they did.
Oh, wow.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Beba Concept Sense says, you're my favorite ranger in Mystic Force. Aw.
Oh, thank you, Vivo.
Cousin asking is, what is your favorite Jackie Chan film? Oh, because you talked to Jackie Chan.
Oh, that's a good question.
I have one.
So many.
What is it?
Rush Hour.
I can't remember the name of the film, but there was a film where there was a Jackie Chan movie when he was with Jet Li. Oh, he's probably been in a couple with Jet Li.
Forbidden Kingdom.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I have to say, of all my heroes, in terms of that, Jet Li's he's kind of up there. He's kind of up there. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen Fong Sai-yuk. Have you seen Fong Sai-yuk?
I have all his Jet Li's movies.
Oh my lord, that it changed my life. Yeah.
What's funny about that movie you mentioned with Jackie Chan, Jet Li, like the girl who played Mulan right now, the current Mulan, she's actually wasn't in the film too. So
That's right.
yeah.
There's Drunken Master too.
Oh yes.
Dragon Master. Oh, I love that. Good choice. I
Yeah.
love that film.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's hard. It's hard making good choices though, eh? Couldn't I have best anyway? Sorry.
That's
Carry on.
alright. So Johnny Gundard says, Craig, Chris, you did a great job playing Leanbow and Wolf Warrior, Power Mystic Force. Your fan, Johnny Gundard. Aw.
Oh, thanks, Johnny. Awesome. Thank you so much.
So Timmy Daka says, did you ever get to wear the Red Wolf Warrior Ranger suit?
No, I didn't. I got close. Oh, no, I got close to it. But the guy who wore the suit, he was smaller than me, so it wouldn't have fit me. Actually, so not much smaller, but he was smaller than me. I when I looked at him, I was thinking, no, he's not that small. But when he got out of the suit, I was going, oh yeah, no, I'm bigger than him. But yeah, so I never got a chance to wear it, sadly.
Let's see. Well, guys, looks like that's pretty much it. Well, again, guys, thank you so much for being this special interview with Chris Graham. So, Chris, you enjoyed this interview?
Mate, honestly, it's like I said, it's kind of a humbling experience, and it's kind of nice to relive those moments again. And it's a good reminder of. It's like an opportunity to go and be reflective about what you've done and your body of work and to bring it back up, because sometimes you just, as you're charging through life, there are things that you've done in your life you think, oh, that's right, there was that one time, and it's kind of nice because you realize that actually I haven't done a whole bunch of work, certainly on screen hasn't been a whole lot, in terms of theatre, absolutely, but like I said, it kind of gives you an opportunity to go, oh yeah, they were some of the best times of my life.
Oh, one more question before we leave. To the access, was Burrus like a son to you?
Was he like a son to me? You know what? I have to say, he probably was, in the sense that he was a like my sons when they were about 21, 22.
Mhm.
Yeah, he was like them. Like he was lovable and adorable, and sometimes I just go, you know. So he was great. It was, yeah, it was. It felt really real. It was good. Yeah.
Alright, guys. So yeah, this pretty much ends the interview. So, Chris, where can you find you on social media or anywhere?
GCA Graham, and I think it's G Chris A Graham, and I think I'm trying to get myself I might be Chris Graham Official on Instagram. That's a good question. I should have set this up earlier. I think there is one. Yeah.
Awesome. And Clement, where can you find you on social media?
You guys can find me on cleao1031 on Instagram, and I'm also on Facebook on the Morphin Network, and also on Instagram on Morphin Network. I'm always there.
Yeah, and you can find me on Instagram, danceboy247 at Morphin. I have Instagram, and please follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter on Morphin Network. So before we end this interview, we want to give a shout out to our sponsors, Ranger Stop Convention from November 13 to 15. If you guys would like to go to Ranger Stop, please go to our website and for more information. Again, guys, thank you, Chris, so much for the special interview.
Thank you so much. Thanks you so much for the invitation. It's been a pleasure.
And thank you to the fans. As we do a goodbye wave, and hope to see you guys soon. So, all right, bye, guys.
Thank yous. Bye bye.